All right, Sam. The odds were against us going into this, but we were up by almost 20 points. Again, that was the most frustrating for me in this game. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think that for the most part, once I got that 19-point lead, they never really put their pedal to the metal, and that was kind of the story of this series. Every time that the Cavs just weren't ever able to put them away in any game, even game 3 that they went to Indiana and won that game, I felt like, it still was not as sharp as it could have been. They weren't shooting the basketball like they normally do. And certainly weren't defending as well as they normally do. At least what we saw during the regular season in the first round of playoffs.
And I know everybody says, injuries, but everybody's banged up in the postseason. But you could definitely see, Darius wasn't doing great out there. Don wasn't himself. It's just a shame that it's come down to, Celtics and Cavs fans, are we actually uniting right now?
We said all year long, and even nationally, I would see on the national shows, they would say, it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be the Cavs and the Celtics. But if there's one thing we've learned about the NBA in the past 5 years, it's been incredibly, I guess parity would be the word. There's never been a clear-cut favorite over the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years. We see a different champion every year, and a lot of times they come out of nowhere. Milwaukee won one. Obviously Boston last season. The Denver Nuggets beat the Miami Heat a couple years ago. Nobody predicted that. This is just the new NBA. When you go into the playoffs, you have to be at your absolute best in every game. And, it goes without saying that was not the Cavaliers in this series, and it certainly was the Indiana Pacers. Donovan Mitchell just said it. The Pacers have been here before. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They very much mirror the Cavs in many things they do. They played the same way as the Cavs. They just did everything better than the Cavs in this series.
Yeah, just did everything better. And Kenny was pointing out that the areas of focus to improve upon are bringing more competitive force and then also mental toughness, Sam.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing we can point to when it comes to, just not making shots when we needed?
Yeah, a lot of that was mental fortitude, how do you overcome things when you're not making shots? This is a tough way to learn lessons, is to get eliminated in 5 games, but that's what the Cavs didn't do enough of. They miss shots, and that's going to happen sometimes, but you also have to be able to overcome that in other areas. Rebounding, hustle plays, 50-50 balls. They weren't able to do that in this series, and I don't know the reasons for that. As Evan Mobley said, we got to go back and watch a film before we were able to figure this out and why things went the way they did. So, it's hard to kind of explain exactly 1 or 2 or 3 things that went wrong. But, I think as time goes on, we'll be able to identify those things. The Cavs will. And they'll identify needs and try to fill those this offseason.
Well, I'll see you next year. Well, I'll also see you at the Big Play Studio.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll see you probably next week, but we'll see you guys next year.
Yes.